Hello everyone and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori and today we welcome on the President and CEO of the Open Door. Thank you so much for joining us today, Julie.
Dani, it's really a pleasure to be here.
I know, I'm excited. I'm really excited to hop right into this. And we are here to talk about Lynn specifically, but before we do, would you just mind giving a brief overview of the Open Door because you've been a part of this organization for many years?
I have been part of the Open Door for a long time. I like to say that it brought me up. But the Open Door has been around since 1978. It started as a very small food pantry where people could go and get food, and it has grown to be what it is today with several food pantry locations, mobile market locations, one of which is right here in Lynn,
yes.
Along with medically tailored groceries, meal programs, summer meals for kids, a really robust social enterprise, second glance thrift store. Hey, to all the thrifters out there, it's worth going to Gloucester. And really, we work with a mission to alleviate the impact of hunger in our communities. Mm-hmm. And we're serving 11 cities and towns, plus Danvers and Lynn with our mobile market.
Wow. And you said you're based in Gloucester. That's your home base.
That is. So our main campus is in Gloucester. We have another pantry in Ipswich, and then we have our thrift store location. So 3 different locations.
Nice. You're just everywhere. You're just always moving around.
You know, we like to make people think that.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
You make them think you're everywhere.
That's right.
How it works. And you were even talking about how recently, even just last year, the need went up by 30%. I mean, food insecurity, hunger is becoming such a huge, prevalent issue. It's right in our faces.
You know, it really is. So 2 years in a row, the Open Door saw a 30% increase in requests for food assistance through all of our programs overall. And just for scope and scale, we're giving out about 2.3 million pounds of food on an annual basis. And it goes out in the form of whole groceries, fresh produce, or prepared meals from our kitchens.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah. It is. And, you know, we were talking a little earlier, but just the cost of living in this area, wages haven't kept pace with the cost of living. It's tough to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. And that's why the Open Door is here, is just to help give that little extra oomph to make it to the end of the month.
And as you were talking about too, in Lynn specifically, you have a mobile market that comes. I know we had a few pictures of it. It looks great. I mean, like you were saying, it's almost like an ice cream truck, but instead you open it and there's fresh produce.
Yes, and what a feast for the eyes. You know, yes. Bright red apples and oranges and bananas and produce for you and your family. And we do have a location here in Lynn. It's on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month. And, you know, it's really for students who attend the Lynn campus, and then we also do it in Danvers. So we've partnered with the North Shore Community College since 2016.
Wow, that must be, well, it's now in your 9th, 10th year. It's obviously a very successful partnership with them.
It has been, and you know, it came out of a study that was done that showed that 53% of students attending either the Danvers or Lynn campus were either at risk of being food insecure or they were food insecure.
Wow.
So you could say, you know, what's a Gloucester organization doing in Lynn? We work very carefully with our partners here in Lynn, respect the work that they do. But there was a study in 2016, as I mentioned, that showed that high food insecurity rate. And the students attending those campuses live in the areas that we serve. And that's how we ended up here.
Yeah, that's how you landed here. And even what you were saying, you provide not just food, but it's nutrient-rich food that helps keep the population healthy.
Right. You know, people don't often think of it, but the food that we eat is a social determinant of our health. And access to good, healthy food is the first and best building block to better health.
And I will ask too, I mean, you're president, CEO, you must wear about 50 different hats, but being involved in this organization, how much would you say it's grown even over the past 23 years since you've been involved?
Yeah, I've been involved as the executive director first and then the president and CEO for 23 years. My anniversary was actually on April 1st, which was no April Fool's joke. It was real. But prior to that, I served on the board of directors. So all in, I'm at 26 years with the organization, and we have grown a lot. We've grown to meet the need, not just for the sake of growing.
Right.
And it's sobering to think that the need out there is that great.
You know, you think you're growing, it's very impressive what your organization is doing, but the idea that it has increased so much even just in the last couple of years.
Right. It's staggering. And to be truthful, amid all the federal cuts that are going on right now, we are really doubling down on our core programs to be sure that people have what they need to remain stable.
And another thing, too, you were mentioning was also providing sometimes nutritional education information. So would you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yes. So certainly healthy food is important, but knowing what to do with it, how to use it, what are the best things for certain health conditions, or even just maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And so we'll have nutrition workshops, nutrition samples alongside the mobile markets so that people can say, oh, well, this is what I can do with this. And, no, I never tried this before, but I'm going to take this recipe and try it at home. And Dani, one of the things that we noticed right away when we started the mobile market was, yes, we could share a recipe, but more important is to say, what do you do with this? And in that simple exchange of recipes and ideas, saying, well, my grandmother always used kale in this way, it was an equalizer. It didn't feel like it was a handout. It was a market, and you were swapping recipes, and it was part of your community, and we were invited into communities and got to be part of it.
Yeah, just a market where you can go for food, exchange stories. It's, like you said, it doesn't feel as uneven.
Right. Well, and if you look at world civilization, we started in the marketplace, right?
We did, yep.
Yes, and so in a microcosm, everywhere a little market goes, we've created that, and we haven't done it alone. We've done it by the people who participate and make it a really great place to access food.
And would you say, I would say the mobile markets are obviously, they're quite popular, but do you know how much food you tend to distribute through those specifically? Yeah,
so last year in 2024, it was 169,000 pounds of food that went out through those markets. And in the face of 2.3 million pounds, it doesn't sound like that much, but let me tell you this. Lettuce doesn't weigh that much, kale doesn't weigh that much. So the nutrient dense foods that went out didn't weigh as much, but they still went out through those markets. And it's primarily it's fresh produce going out through those markets.
You just answered my next question. You mentioned a lot of the foods, but that's what the focus is, the produce.
Just really produce always, and then we'll just add a protein and a few add-on items for people. Just depend, it might be yogurt that we add, it might be milk, it might be eggs.
Oh, nice. And the recipe piece about that is obviously huge, because I'll admit, I myself am not the best cook. So you could give me ingredients and I might not know quite what to do with it. I might be kind of not overwhelmed, but a little bit confused by it. So.
Right. So we often talk about it's not only access, but it's utilization of what we give. And those recipes or taste tests or samples are a nice way to intrigue people into trying like a black bean brownie, for example, or a cake that has beets in it. And so you're getting extra nutrients in a sweet treat.
I'm now curious about both of the things you just said. I'm now very curious.
Well, I have some recipes for you. Ooh. And on our website, you'll find a lot of our recipes.
And I'll ask, too, you mentioned you're partnering with the college. So do you have to be a student there to go to the market, or can anyone in the community come?
So primarily these markets are for the North Shore Community College community, but if you are a professor there, if you go there, if you have a child who goes there, you can access the market. And one of the things that we've found in all the years that we've been doing this is that making a market universal destigmatizes it, so that no one is saying, oh, well, we don't go to that because that's for, people who don't have money or for poor people. It's a market for the location that we're in. And in such, we partner with elementary schools, we partner with YMCAs, senior centers, veteran centers, and it helps build the sense of community, but also just takes away that stigma that can make it so hard for someone to ask for help.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've gone to farmers markets before, and like you said, there shouldn't be stigma around it. Just going, getting food, getting what you need, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right, absolutely.
I get so involved in the interviews, I always forget to check what time it is, but I know I do have to wrap up in a moment. But was there anything else that I hadn't mentioned that you wanted to make sure you talked about with the Open Door?
Yeah, so we're just really glad that you had us here. And I would want to say that anyone who's looking to participate in the Lynn Mobile Market or any of the mobile markets that we have, you can go to our website, which is foodpantry.org. And if you just click and see, what our services are, you'll see a whole schedule of the mobile market. There are over 25 different locations where people can access the mobile market. And I would also just say, if you need help, get help. You're not taking it from anyone else. That's why we're here.
Exactly. So you just said it perfectly. I don't think I could say that any better myself. Actually, I know I couldn't. So I just want to thank you again so much for coming on to really share this great resource.
Oh, thank you, Dani. It's been great.
Of course, it always. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests.